Hello, hello, hello. Welcome everyone to LeetCode Live. So you might be wondering if this is your first time tuning into my stream. You might be thinking to yourself, this person has a name like LeetCode Live, but they're talking about border radius, HTML, CSS, vanilla JavaScript. What is all this madness? As Kevin O'Leary says on Shark Tank. Well, recently I've decided to sort of expand my horizons and do some more front end work from the typical LeetCode daily live streams that I do because I program in JavaScript daily for work. I would say that I lean more front end than anything else, although I do like full stack work. And I wanted to sort of just try out streaming myself doing these front end projects. There's a very good repo. Let me actually check the stream real quick to make sure everything's sounding good. Okay, cool. So there's a repository that this person made over here. This person, FlorinPop17/app ideas is the name of the repository. And on here, this person has listed a lot of different projects that you can do to hone in your front end skills. So let me just give you all a little bit of an introduction to what I've been doing so far and what I'm trying to do with this channel, right? So on July 16th, I started doing daily LeetCode live streams. This was mainly for me to practice on my own, for me to get used to sort of talking about my thoughts out loud and just practicing LeetCode for myself. And I gave myself this crazy idea of wanting to do every single LeetCode question that there is, starting from the easiest question sorted by acceptance rate all the way onto the hardest question. And we've been doing that since July 16th every single day. And if I actually go to LeetCode, I think we're right now hovering around 220 or so odd problems. Yeah, 228 problems. So if LeetCode is your thing, if you're into LeetCode, maybe you're trying to, get into a habit of doing LeetCode, you're trying to see, how to get started. If you want to do that, I have a playlist here, LeetCode Live Easy Collection, where you can go and watch every single one of those streams from the beginning. But that's a story for another day. I actually have a separate stream coming up today at 5 p.m. Eastern where we're going to do our normal LeetCoding like we always do. But this one's a little bit different. This is specifically for people that are interested in front end. And let me just close out some of these tabs here. One thing that I do want to make sure of is I need to be able to get my statistics on these videos. You always want to make sure your stats are looking good. Okay, sweet. So let's think about this, right? I have created a repo on my GitHub where I put the previous one that we worked on. So this one with vanilla here, front-end projects using vanilla JavaScript. The first video that we did, I believe it was back on Monday or Tuesday. I did this binary to decimal converter where we have the project link, which is the link to the actual repo where the user uploaded this. And then we have this YouTube link, which links to the video where you can watch how we did that. And then I have some other important links of different technologies that we covered. So today I wanted to just resume and do the second project on this list, which is this thing called a border radius previewer. So let's go ahead and get started. I see that we had a comment or a chat left by Skeletor1447 said hi. So hello Skeletor. I haven't seen you before, so it's always good to see new people on the stream. If you're new here, if this is your first time popping by, drop something on the chat. I'm normally pretty good at responding back to people. I'm trying a lot of new things out. I mean, I've only been doing streaming for a little over a month, so I'm always open to, comments, any feedback that you all have, or if you just want to drop by and say hello, I'm definitely open to that. I was told yesterday that I wasn't actually choosing like a good Twitch category, so I changed that today in hopes that perhaps maybe we end up getting some more people, and that'll be a lot of fun, to have people around. So let's read through this, and then let's start thinking about how we can create it, right? So border radius previewer, we're still trending in our tier 1 beginner list here. We'll eventually make it to the intermediate and advanced list, but just giving a start on the beginner. So the border radius property can have multiple values changed. Preview how the shape looks while changing these values. User stories. So a user can see a box which has a border radius property applied to it. User can change the 4 border radius values that are applied to the box, top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right, and user can copy the resulting CSS to the clipboard. And then as a bonus feature, user can change all 8 possible values of the border radius in order to create some complex shape. So really what I think we want to do is I envision sort of a, and maybe we can, let's open up another tab here. Let's go to like Excalidraw. I envision something where we have some sort of div, right? And it would be cool if underneath that div we had some other control panel, let's call it. And inside of this control panel, we had, let's say, different inputs of type range or something like this. And for each one of these inputs, whenever we change it, it would reflect that change on this div right here. So that's sort of what I would like to do, and that's probably the direction I'm going to start in at least. The point of this series is to be doing everything in vanilla JavaScript. So we're not using any frameworks here. We're not even using TypeScript. We're not using, the slim version of React or anything. We're just using pure vanilla JavaScript, and that's why the series is called With Vanilla. So if that's, if you like that sort of thing, then you're in the right place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the previous code that I had, which should just be, okay, this is for my other website. So let's go to bin2deck right here. And what I want to do is I want to open the root folder. So let's go to With Vanilla. Okay, we'll close all these editors. Inside of my tier 1 folder, I'm going to create a new folder, and I'll call this one border radius. Sweet. And I'm going to be doing a lot of the same stuff. So I'm going to copy the README from bin2des, I guess we can call it. Paste it in here. And I'll call this one border. Oh, something's happening. Let's call it border radius previewer. And then for these, we'll just like leave these. I guess we can leave these for now. I'll just have to remember to change these later. So let me actually put a to do, change these after the stream. And we'll leave important links empty for now. And what I want to do is inside of the project right here, let me see, this is border radius previewer app ideas. Let me actually copy this, right? Because I want to replicate that in my own README. That way we can keep track of this stuff on our own. So I don't think this needs to be so far out this way. Let's just do this. All right, cool. All right, so without further ado, let's pretty much just go ahead and get started. So the first thing we want to be able to do is we want to be able to see a box which has border radius property applied to it. So let's do this. Let's create a new file here, index.html. If you're using, oh, came to drop a like, can't stay, haha, sorry. Hey, MMD, good to have you, man. Good to see you. Yeah, I know I'm sort of just going off the cuff here, creating live streams left and right. Hope to see you later for the leak code one, but I'm glad you were able to drop by, and thanks again, man. Really appreciate the support. So in your index.html file, at least with Visual Studio Code, if you click on the exclamation point, you'll get this Emmet abbreviation, which is really nice. Just by clicking enter here, you already start off with a nice HTML5 compliant skeleton, which you can work off of. So for the rest of the work that we'll be doing, we can build off of this, which is really nice. So let's go over here. Let's call this border radius previewer. I believe that's what the developer is calling it, right? Border radius previewer. Okay, sweet. Now, what is it that we're going to want here? I feel like in my head, I would like to have a page where the center, like the main portion, everything that we're doing is sort of centered on the screen. There's a really easy way to do that, right? So we have our body right here. Let's say that I'm going to create our main section, right? So we're using semantic HTML here. I'm going to be using my main section, which is essentially going to contain the div where I'm going to be modifying these border radius properties. This is going to be like my box, so to speak. What I want to do is I'll go ahead and save this. Then I'm going to create a CSS file here. I'll call this index.css. What I want to do is I want to give, let me actually open both of these side by side so it makes it a little bit easier to work with. I want to create a class for my body. So I'm going to give this a class of page. In my main, I'll give this a class of main. And also for my div, I'll just give this a class of box. Okay, and let's also not forget to link to the CSS file right here. So what I want to do for page is I want to give this a height of 100 view height. I also want to remove the margin that's just coming by the user agent style sheet by default. And one of the nice things about this is you know, there's always this whole argument of what's the easiest way to center a div on the screen. Well, I learned this pretty frequently. I was a web development tutor for a boot camp, and this is one of the things I learned in one of the first lessons. So you can always learn, doesn't matter how much experience you think you have. You can learn from someone that has much less experience and also someone that has way more experience. So I'm always very open to trying to gain new perspectives because everyone looks at something differently. So I think every opinion is worth it. So what I learned was we can set display flex on this page container, and then inside of main, what we can now do is we can say, I want this to have a margin of auto. That will actually center it right in the middle of the screen for us. And I'll give this like a width of 500 pixels. I'll give this a height of 500 pixels. And let's also give it a starting border of perhaps 3 pixels, solid purple. I do like the color purple. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and click on the Go Live button down here. This Go Live button is made available because of an extension I have, and that extension is called Live Server. So give me 1 second. I got a message on my phone. Let me respond to that quickly. You guys probably hear the little dit, 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 dit on the phone, but it's good. It's good. Okay, so this extension here is called Live Server. When you get Live Server, you'll be able to click on this Go Live. And the nice thing about Go Live, and let's actually make sure that what we did was right. See, it's not even opening up in the right place. And that's because currently I have Live Server running in the root folder. So I'm going to reopen my project just so that the only thing there is border radius. Let's wait for Go Live to become ready, and let's go ahead and open that. Okay, so it looks like everything worked, right? Now we have this nice 500 by 500 pixel square drawn right in the middle of our page. And we're taking advantage of Flexbox, which is really nice. Flexbox is pretty amazing. There's a ton of stuff that you can do with it. So really happy to be using it here. All right, cool. So now that we have this, what is it that we want to do? Let's go ahead and revisit our stories. Okay, so right now we can see a box and border radius currently is not applied to it, right? That's actually the thing that we want to change. So what I'm thinking about doing, let's think slowly of how we can start doing this, right? Right now we only want top left, top right, bottom left, and bottom right. So I think what I want to do, again, we need to come up with some way of giving the user some control panel, right? So let's call this div. And the cool thing here in Visual Studio Code, you can actually do div dot, and the dot here represents a class name. So I can say something like controls, and now you can see that controls is the class assigned to our newly created div. And here what I want to do, let's think about this. I want to create several controls, right? All of them have input of type range. You can see all these different shortcuts I'm using. So input :range will create an input of type range, right? So in this for, let's see, this ID, we can give each one of these, let's say top left, and I'll say this is top left. Okay. Name, I don't really think we need a name for this. I'm not going to be sending any of this information over to a server or anything, but it might come in handy later. But let's just experiment with this and see what we get. So I want to create 4 of these for our initial work, right? For the initial controls. We have top left. We are going to have top right. So let me go ahead and do this. Top right. Over here, we'll have bottom right. And over here, we will have bottom left. Let's also not forget to actually label these. So let's say top left. This will be top right. This will be bottom right. And this will be bottom left. Okay, cool. Now, every time I save, you might see that the code shifts around a little bit. That's also because I have Prettier installed. Prettier is awesome. You can make it so that it formats on save, which just keeps your code looking clean. And that's really how I like it. So if that's something you're interested in doing, there's the extension here called Prettier. Pretty much you can download it and then modify the settings through Visual Studio settings. Okay, sweet. So let's go back and let's see what this looks like now. So we have a div and we have all these different controls in here, but obviously I don't want this to be, I think what we did, let me see, div class controls, we have div class box. Okay, and then we have this main. I don't really want the controls to be inside the box. Right now, currently, I'm not really sure why that happens, but let's go ahead and figure it out. I'm going to go ahead and open up the developer tools and we'll start sort of looking at this and see the structure of all this. So I see we have this div, we have this main, we have this box. So I think probably what I wanted to do, let's see, I gave this height of that, and we have div class box, which is inside of main. This thing actually has no, I think probably what I wanted to do is give my box a height, right? So let me go back to my CSS, right? The main is the only thing that we want to have it be centered. And then the box, right now in here, we can essentially give all these. Let's do that. Let me remove this, save that. Okay, now we're getting something closer to what I would have liked to see, right? Now we have the single box. And then underneath this, we have all these different range controls. What I would like to do is get these aligned sort of vertically right underneath each other, and also have these be on new lines. So let's see how we can do that. I'm going to put this on the right. Let me go back to my, I have a couple of different windows open here, but you know, that's how it is. You get a couple of different windows every once in a while. Okay, cool. So let us come over here and do this. What I want to do now is I want to set these, like I would like to also maybe have another border around this just to clearly define that section. So let's look at our index.html. So I know this is going to be in my controls class. So under here, maybe let's also give this like a border 3px solid. I'll give this one like a different color, red. And then I also want to give this a padding just to give some spacing between each of these. Now, one of the cool things is inside of main, right? Main is this entire box right here. I want I want a gap in between these. Unfortunately, with Flexbox, it makes it very easy to do that. I'm going to make my main a flex. I'm going to make the direction a column, right? Because these two things are sitting in sort of a column-like fashion. And then in between, I want to give a gap of like 2 rem, let's say. So now we can see that we now have that gap. And again, we're doing all this with Flexbox. One of the reasons I love Flexbox, again, is because the flexibility it provides, and it handles a lot of the responsiveness for you just off the box, like by default, right? So that's one thing that is really nice for us to just have by default. So let's see. Now I want this box, or rather what I could do is it'd be nice if for all my different labels, so let's do this. Maybe for each one of these labels, what I want to do, I'm going to select all 4 of them. And on Windows, what I can do is I can highlight one label and I can click Control D, and that's going to select similar items. So that's going to make it very nice for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a class here. I'm going to call this control label, or yeah, control label. Let's call it that. Okay. Now inside of my index CSS, I'll create a new class for control label. I'd like for these to have, let's see if we do display block, right? I want them to sit exactly right underneath each other, just like that. And what we can also do, we should be able to even make this, well, actually, you know what would be nice if we said, let's think about this. Can we do, if we make this flex box and do a similar thing that we did, flex direction and then gap, let's do like 0.5 rem to get some spacing between those. So it looks like maybe it doesn't work for these. Control label, oh, I know why, because this should actually be here. Let's see, display flex box. Oh, flex, not flex box. Okay, cool, we're getting that. Let me just see what happens if I make these a little bit taller. So I'm not actually getting any gap in between each one of these labels. However, I think we also need to put this inside of here. Okay, now we have our spacing. Let me reduce that a little bit. I don't think it needs to be any larger. Okay, sweet. So what do we have right now? We now have this very nice, we have this box up here, and we also have a separate box down here, which contains all the different controls that will eventually modify this box for us. So I think we're making some pretty nice progress, pretty excited about it. I'm gonna keep saying it over and over, just checking it on the stream. What happens is like not LeetCode, I'm so used to saying LeetCode, so YouTube, it sometimes tells me that maybe I'm not sending enough, maybe like enough frames for people to be able to actually look at the content. So I just want to make sure that everything's looking right, which it is looking fine to me, so that's good. Let's keep it going here. All right, so for the next thing, what I'd like to do, let's think about this. What will be the next nice thing to do? We have all our inputs now. I think the next thing that we can start doing is probably I want to get, let's think about this. It would be nice if I had, we're gonna need to start listening to some of these events, right? Some of these input events from each one of these different inputs. Now there's one cool thing that I want to do here, and let's sort of dive into it, right? So I'm going to create a new JavaScript file. Now we're getting to the fun part. I always love the JavaScript. It's always the most fun. Over here in my head, I'm going to set script. I'm going to give this a source of index.js, and I'm going to assign it the defer attribute. That way the JavaScript is only loaded once the page has finished loading. All right, you can look up this attribute. It's pretty cool, and it allows me to keep everything sort of up here, all this sort of like meta information and configuration on the head, which I am a fan of. I like doing it that way. It makes things very organized, which is always cool. So what we're gonna do is, you might be thinking we could add an event listener to each one of these different inputs. Now, however, you know, it will quickly become a little bit confusing or maybe too much, because now we have 4 event listeners for all of these different inputs. So it's linear, right? However many inputs we have is however many event listeners we have. But it'd be nice if through a process of event delegation, we can set up a single event listener on this div class controls, and then have it manage all the different events that are being propagated from any one of these inputs. So let's see how we can make that happen. So I want to give this guy right here an ID of controls. And I'm doing that because I want to be able to select this in my JavaScript. Now, I could select it using my class, but I want to keep classes for CSS and I want to use IDs for JavaScript, just sort of separation of concerns, right? I think that will be the best way for us to continue with this. Okay, cool. So let's go over here, and now let's say const controls equals document.getElement by ID. We'll pass in controls here. In to controls, I can add an event listener, and here I want to listen to the input event, and I'm just going to go ahead and console log whatever we get from that. So let me open up my DevTools here. Let's go to the console, and let's see what happens as I start changing these, right? So that's very neat. You can now see that we're getting, I just want to, the reason I'm like clicking on other things in here to make sure that we're not getting any other events, but what we want to do is, now that we have these events being propagated, there are a couple things we need to do. Since we're listening, like I'm listening to inputs here, which I guess, like these are the only, how do I want to phrase this? Like these inputs can only emit input events as I'm doing it right now, right? But if we were like listening to any event, then you know this might be catching like on mouse over or hover events or click events, but we're sort of safe by only getting input events, so that's fine. But really what we want to do now is, for any of these that are toggled, we need to know like which direction it is, right? And I think one of the nicest things to make this easier, because what is it that we want to do? We want to get the new value, and then we want to modify the value of this square. So there's some cool things that we're going to look at, right? So first of all, let's think about how can I actually get the styles of this square, and how can I modify them? Maybe we can do them in a static way first, and then we'll think about how to do it dynamically using this new range. So there's a really cool, I guess you can call it, yeah, there's a cool method on the window object that's called getComputedStyle. So let's look at how this works, right? I'm going to select, or rather I'm going to go to my index.html, and on my box right here, I'm also going to give this an ID of box, again, just to separate classes for CSS and IDs for JavaScript. And here we'll say get box is document get element by ID, and we'll do box here, right? What we can do is we can say const, let's see, box computed style equals window, or we might just be able to do get computed style, and I believe this is going to take in an element. It wants an element. So let me console log box computed style, and let's see what we get. Now look at this. We have this whole entire object now that represents all the different types of styles on this box. RX, a ton of different things here, right? Visible, probably we can see like border block width 3 pixels. These are all the currently computed styles that are set on this box. So it would be nice if we think about like, let's see, border, how is this all? Like border bottom left radius, border bottom right radius. Is there a, let's see, border bottom left, bottom right? What would be the 8 values? Because I know they mentioned 8 values here. What are the other 8 ones? 8 values of border radius. There's like what? Top left, top right. Is there like a top left? Oh, let's look it up, right? Let's just look it up. MDN border radius. What are all the different styles that we can change here? Top left, top right, bottom left. Okay. Top left and bottom right, top right and bottom left. One. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Top right and bottom left. So what are the different top left, top right, top left, top right? Okay. Oh, is it because, well, let's think about this. Border radius would be for all of them. Border bottom left. Border top left radius. Well, I guess we can get to that at some other point. But it'd be nice if like the data that I had assigned to each one of the inputs matched one of these properties, because then we can already use that to index inside of our object. And let me sort of make that a little bit more clear. Imagine like I want to give each one of these different inputs some extra data. So let's say data border, right? Data border here for top left should be, let's see, this is border bottom left. Let's do border top left radius. I'm going to set it equal to that, right? Data border equals border top left radius for that first input. For that second input, we're going to do something very similar. I'll just go ahead and copy this. And I'm actually going to set it for all these right now. This is top right, this one, and then this one. So now we're doing top right. So now let's get border, let's go all the way down here. Let's get border top right radius, this one right here. Then we'll get border bottom right radius. Let's see, border bottom right radius, and then border bottom left radius, right? So this is gonna allow for us to do some things that I think are a little bit more elegant and will hopefully help us create more, like better looking code, right? All right, so what I'm gonna do is now we have this data coming in through our different inputs. So let's see what we can do. Let's go back to here. Am I still logging these out? Okay, I'm still logging these out. So let's look at any one of these single events, right? Here we can get a target. So this is our input top left. And over here in our data set, we should now have a property called border that maps to the CSS class that we want to change. Right? So that's very good, because now our range, we have a value, we have the CSS class we want to change. So now we should be able to just modify it directly. Now, how is it that we want to do this? Let's now think about this, right? I'm going to open this guy up. We have our computed style for our box. So let's think about this now. We're going to get an event in our event listener here. Okay, for any one of these, we're going to get our target. So this will be, instead of our target, let's do border radius input will equal event.target. And I think what we can do border radius input, and we can also do border radius maybe direction equals event dot, or actually let's do border radius input dot dataset dot border. So let's see what this gives us. Console log border radius direction. So now let's come over here. Let's open this guy up now and let's start changing these. So border, you see, look at this, border top left radius, we have border top right radius. And what did I say, right? These already map to CSS keys that we can index. We don't have to, we're sort of taking advantage of, like, how do I say this? We can do this manipulation on either side, right? We can have the HTML give us the information however we want, or we can have something in the JavaScript that says, okay, if I have top right, then we'll go ahead and create something that looks like this. But I think having it already in the HTML is very like declarative, and I think it just makes for neater looking code, more neat looking code. Neat code. There you go. Shout out to Neat Code. You're awesome. Okay, cool. So let's keep it going here. So what I'm going to do now is we already have the border radius direction. right? So let's think about this. I think what we can do, box computed style, we have the event. Let's also get the value. What will the value be here? Console.log border radius input. If we get value, I haven't set like a min or max. So 48, this goes to 100, this goes to 0. We're going to have to add a pixel value to the end of this, but check this out. What we should be able to do now is we should be able to say box computed style, or let's say this, we have border radius value equals border radius input dot value. Okay. And then we can say box computed style of border radius direction. We now should be able to just set this equal to whatever the new value is. And I don't think we can just set it to value. I think we'll have to actually add in the pixels ourselves. Yeah. These styles are computer, and therefore the border top left radius property is read only. Okay, so probably what we'll have to do is we'll probably just have to set the style directly. What would be the best way for me to do this? Can actually, instead of get computed style, can we like set computed style? Get computed style. Okay, type error, JavaScript, that's cool. What's like a nice way to set this style? Set. Declaration, notes, resolve values, computed values. I'm wondering how we can like use this now. Let's see, set CSS. If we can like set CSS, not set CSS class, but like set a value, set CSS property in JavaScript. Let's try something else before we even go down that route. Let's actually print out the event again, or actually not the event. I want to print out the console.log border radius input. Let's see the properties that we have here, and let's see how we can use these to our advantage. Okay. Nope, let's actually do a console dir, and let me uncomment this so we're not getting any errors. Okay, so in top left, how does, if I go to style here, can I still access border bottom? Okay, yeah, so we still could access this, and these are strings. So I think what we can do here is we can say, instead of box computed style, what we could say, let's do this. Let's do border radius input dot style at the border radius direction equals, and we want to make this a string, right? What would be like the nicest way for me to do this? I suppose I can probably just do this using like template literals. Let's see what this does. I'm actually going to minimize this because I want to see this full screen here. Okay, so still not getting what we want. Border radius input dot style. We have the border and we have the value. Let's think of, oh wait, did I even save this? Let's actually go ahead and debug this, because that's always a really good thing for us to do. I want to just debug a single value, and let me open this so it's easier to work with. Okay, so in here we have border radius input. So we have our, okay, border radius input, border radius direction is border top left radius, border radius value is 54, and then border radius input, and let's see, style, way down here, style of border radius direction, which is border top left radius. Okay, so let's see if we can find that one now. Border, oh, wait a second. It set 0 border top left radius. Why did it set it like this? Border top left radius when it's like this. Can I not actually like border? Okay, border top left radius is 54 pixels. That looks fine, but obviously we see that it's not changing. So let's think about that. Why would the style of this not be changing? Do we have anything else that's like overriding these values? Border radius input dot style, border radius direction. Well, I guess we're gonna have to find out how to do it, right? Element dot style dot width equals 100 pixels. All right, just set the style, right? Looks fine to me. Oh, wait a second. Border radius input. No, we need to be doing the box. I'm crazy. I'm going crazy here. Yeah, let's set the box's style, no? That's what we should be doing. Hey, look at that. Okay, sweet. So now we actually have that thing that moves. So that's pretty neat, right? And there's a couple things here that we don't even need. I guess I wanted to show you how the get computed style worked, but it doesn't even look like we need that, right? At least not for now. So now we have box that we're using. We have controls that we're using. So that's very cool. I got some other messages here on my phone. All right, sweet. So now we can actually change this for any of the sides. So check this out. Look how cool this looks. We're now getting this dynamic box that we can modify styles. And right now, like this is only bound to 100 pixels, right? Which is why we can only go that far. Maybe what we can do is I believe on the input itself, let's come over here on the input. Let's say max. Let's give this like, I don't know, 500 pixels. And I also want to do something here. I'm just like a sucker for alphabetized properties. So we're gonna we'll have max on all these. So data border ID max, data border ID max, data border ID max, and then I think this one probably once we put it, yep, there you go. Data border ID max and type. By the way, how am I doing this quick line change? On Windows at least, it's using the Alt key and then up and down arrows, so we can just do that pretty quickly. All right, cool. So let's come back here now and mess around with this and check this out. We can get some pretty interesting looking figures. And this is, look how nice this is. This is just like, I mean, yeah, you can come up with some very, actually it kind of looks like a lemon. That's like a little lemon. Look at that. Pretty cool. Never actually done this myself, so I think that's pretty neat. Now, they mentioned something about setting 8 different values, but I'm not sure what the other 8 are. Maybe we can figure that out. Let's go back to our README here and we can start crossing some of these out. So we finished this one, Now we actually want to get the resulting CSS, right? That's the one thing that I would like to do. So I know there's a nice method to be able to do this, to get like the entire style sheet, or maybe all currently selected. Let's see. So let's do MDN get CSS, not style, CSS style declaration. Let's see, remove property, get CSS style sheet. It represents a single CSS style sheet. Okay, that's, oh, maybe a rule. Represents a single CSS rule. Document style sheets returns a CSS rule list. Okay, so let's think about how to do this. I want to be able to display that. It would be nice if like in our, is there a way that we can do that? If I can like actively show the styles for this. Now, I guess we don't really need, you know what would be cool? I think maybe a better thing that we can do is on my box. Right now this only has, yeah, maybe what I should do here is set all these to 0. And then what I can do is I can modify, how can I actually modify the, let's see, CSS text, parent rule, CSS set property. Yeah, I'm thinking about something here. Okay, check this out. Let's get the rule. by the way, when I say the rule, I'm looking at this, right? CSS rule interface. Let's get the rule for the current, let's get the rule for the box, and let's see what that does. So if I come over here and I say console.log, what can we do? Box.stylesheets. Can we do that? Now this only has document.stylesheets, 0.rules. Like, does that do anything? Does box.stylesheets even exist? Let's see. Box style, okay, box style sheets does not exist. Maybe it's only on the document. Let's do that then, right? Let's do document.stylesheets. Okay. Rules. Ah, we do have rules here. Now, it would be nice if, like, okay, selector text. I mean, right now I know it's 2, but you know, if this thing changes, it'll break. So it'd be nice to find, what is this? This is a CSS rule list. Item, length, get. I guess for now maybe it's okay, but it looks like what we can do is we can say console.log document.stylesheets at 2.css rule. Is that something? Okay, so CSS rules, I guess. CSS rules. Tunnel snakes rule, for any of you Fallout fans out there. So over here, let's see. So we have document style sheets. Okay. CSS style sheet. Oh, dot rules. Yeah, we need dot rules, right? CSS style sheet dot rules. And then here, does this have CSS rule? Still no? Okay, that's fine. Let's refresh again. So document style sheets. Document style sheet. Oh, and we also have to go .0. Okay, so let's try that now. I guess if we go here, we go 0, we go CSS rules. Okay. So this is going to be 0. This will be CSS rules, right? Style sheets at 0, CSS rules at 2. And here we can get the CSS text. Let's try this now. See what we get here. Oh, look at that. Okay, so this is cool, right? Because now we have the actual rule that we can display right here in the bottom. So let's think about something here. Let's do this incrementally. Let's work through it. So your daily dose of leak code is inspiring me to do the same accountability method. That is so awesome, Carlitos. That makes me really happy to hear. Yeah, like the reason I started doing that is because there's a lot of really great leak code resources out there, and I definitely think as part of like a solid study plan, you should be looking at everything. But I want it to be a little more relatable and show you all that even for people that have been in the industry or are trying to do leak code, there's some days where I'll get on a stream and I'll do like a lot of questions, and there's other days, like yesterday, for example, had a really stressful day at work and my mind was just like not working. So if anything, I hope that gives users like the feeling that, you know, it's okay to struggle. It's okay to have great days and bad days, and we're all just like, as cheesy as it sounds, we're just like all in this together, you know? Everyone's trying to get better, and I'm hoping that by my leak code streams and other videos like this, people are just going to be leveling up and hopefully seeing things in new ways. So really appreciate the comment. I'm really glad you're here, Carlitos, and hope to see you around more often. If there's anything else you want to ask about, or if you just want to chat, feel free to do so. I'm always happy to do that. So yeah, let's keep going. So in here, what I think I want to do, let me create a new section down here. Let me see, I have div controls. Let's create a new section called rules. And I'm wondering if maybe I actually want to create a pre-section, and I want to do code, because I want to essentially stick the code in there, right? Okay, so let's see how we can do this. in my index.js, what I'm going to need to do is in my HTML, let's actually do this. Let's do code. Let's give this an ID of code, right? And then here we can look that up. So const code equals document dot get element by ID code. What we can do is I can say code dot, I wonder if we can just, can I just say text content is equal to this? And then what I want to do, I'm going to leave a comment here and I'll explain that. Let's see, style sheets 0 represents the document style sheet. Oh, document style sheet. CSS rules 2 represents the rule for dot box. It's a little bit hard coded right now, but I think for the purposes of the stream, I think it's okay. Okay, so check this out. Like, look what we have now. We actually have the rules coming out in the bottom. What I'd like to do is probably, let me see. I'd like to maybe give that, let me give pre a class of pre, and then an index CSS. And here, perhaps I can say something like background color. I'll give it some background here. I can say my padding is 1 rem. Can I align this to the left? That'd be really nice to do. I think what's happening is I might be getting some extra. Let me actually bring this back over here. Just want to show you guys what I'm looking at. So I want this to sit on the left. So we have code here inside of pre. We have some padding. So maybe let's actually remove the padding. Oh no, I actually want, I do want that padding. Pre and code. We have margins. And what are the margins for? I guess that's just going to be, that's probably going to be what we, okay, that's good. Okay. And maybe green. This is aquamarine, but like a grayish Gainsborough. What is that? Yeah, this looks more like it. Okay, I would like to have this to the left, and I think there's a way to, let me see, format text content spacing. It's JavaScript, does that make sense? CSS text indentation and spacing, formatting text with tabs or spaces. Isn't there like a nice way of doing this? I think with JSON parse we can, but this isn't JSON, right? Letter spacing. Yeah, it's not going to do anything. Word spacing. Yeah, I think this might be the best that we can do, but I still don't really like that we have all that extra space for pre and then code. It's just listed like this. What if I set, if I were to make this like display flex? Oh, that seemed to help. At least now things are a little bit better. So let's assign display. Honestly, I'm not sure why that helped in that case, but at least we have this now. I also want to give this just like a border of 3px solid black. Okay, cool. Now what would be nice is like, this is the thing I want to be able to copy, right? But it'd be cool if as I'm changing this, these are also changing. So I think what I should do is inside of my CSS, is I should actually assign those properties. So we have what? Border top left radius is 0. Then we have border top right radius is 0. Border bottom right radius is 0. Border bottom left radius is 0. So let me just alphabetize these. You guys know I like doing this. So we'll do border bottom left and right and border top left and right. Okay, cool. So this, let's see, border radius. Oh, interesting. It just consolidates it. It doesn't actually, it doesn't show me everything. Border radius, and as soon as I change one of these, see what I would want to do now is actually modify this value. So can we modify CSS rule with JavaScript? Modify a CSS rule. What do we do here? Ah, okay. So we have our rule, style color red. Ooh, check this out. Check this out. Maybe now instead of modifying the style, right? Maybe we modify the rule. So let's do box, and then let's do const box CSS rule. Let's set that equal to this, right? And then let's see, code.text content. We'll set it equal to this on initialization, right? And what I want to do, can I actually just change, can we change this? Like box CSS rule dot style? That's what he did, right? He did rules 0 dot style. Okay, well, let's see. It might break, but that's fine. We're learning together. Okay, so that looks like that broke it. Okay, so cannot set properties undefined. Okay, that's fine. Let's see what happened here. Box CS. Oh, okay, I see. We don't actually want, I don't want the text content here, right? Here, CSS text. I should remove that and only have the CSS text for this initial one, right? Just for that piece. Let's go back here and refresh this. Okay, so box CSS rule dot style. So would that, oh, okay, right? And now what we can do is after that, what if we just update the text content of the code, right? Oh, that's so cool. That's very cool. Because now we're getting all of these to be modified. Now what would be really, really nice, man? Oh man, if I can, because I don't like that this is, I mean, this is growing a lot, right? Like we have the bottom of this div is moving all the time. I guess what we can do, let's see. Okay, so that's all bigger. Let me actually come in here and center these. I think I can do this with justify content, or is it align? Is that align items center? Okay. That's not, this is not supposed to change anything, but, well, at least it doesn't. Yeah, I like this better because at least we don't have things moving around so much. So let's apply align items center to our main. Let's come over here and do that. Align items center. Okay. It would be nice to get the spacing. It would be, but you know what? This isn't bad. I like this. I want to do something real quick because I don't like looking at the text that we have so far. I just don't like how it looks. So I like this one right here. I always get Fira Nato fonts. No, I want Fira Sans. Oh, let's actually go here. Fira Sans. Yeah, I like this one. And oh look, I already have it. So let's just copy this import here. And in our CSS, let's just bring that in. So index CSS, we'll set it right here in the page. Oh wait, nope, wrong one. Set the import up here, and we'll set the font family on the page. This will just give us better looking stuff here. Oh, and down here. Oh, hey, thanks so much for the follow. Sam Takabi has subscribed. Yeah, thanks so much. Really appreciate that. That's awesome. Okay, cool. So can we do better down here? Do I actually have to? And maybe we should make it like, what is it? In consola, I think it's called. In consola. In consola. Yeah, let me set it to this one. Let me set that one to this one. Let me remove all these. And nope, I don't want to. Yeah, I want to download this one. Well, not download it, but I want to use it. Oh, here we go. Let's do like a regular. Let's also import this one into our style sheet. Let's come over here, import that, and then to use it, we'll copy the font family here. All right, and then in our pre, we'll set font family to Inconsolata. Let's see how that looks. I might have to do it directly on code. Or can code even actually take, if I do class code, Like, does that actually work for code blocks? Okay, cool. Yeah, that worked. Nice. So looking a little bit nicer. I quite like that. Oh, but now it's getting like unwieldy. Yeah, we should find out a way to like make this, how do I explain it? Like, I want to format it. I want to format this text. Is there something that, I mean, this is going to be running so often though, that's probably going to be taking a lot of, that's going to be a lot. Let me think about this. Could we do better? Because there's like what? There's, if I set a width to this of like 300 pixels, but then we say, what is the text overflow? That's not going to do anything. Do I, maybe I also need to set, or is there line? I want to see like line wrap. Okay, let's see here. Text wrapping. Overflow wrap. Break word anywhere and normal. Okay. Do I need to have overflow set? Overflow wrap, overflow wrap. Okay, let's try that out. On pre, let's do overflow wrap. Not doing anything. Do I need overflow? Like, is that why? Oh, overflow wrap. Maybe it's not even considered. This might just be considered one whole word. Maybe that's why. If that's the case, because that actually made things a little bit worse, I'm just gonna revert that and leave it how it looks just for that code, and things were moving around a lot. It's actually still the same. That's very interesting how it like knows to sometimes use, yeah, in the beginning it was moving around a lot, but now it just consolidates to a single like declaration with all four properties on it. Okay, so let's see, what is it that I want to do now? Maybe that can be something we look at the end. So we want to be able to copy, right? Copy the specific CSS rule that we have. So I think for this, the best thing to do, something I really want to do is like on hover. It'd be nice if like on hover, I gave like a tooltip that said like, oh, you can copy. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I think I'd like to do that. I've actually never tried that out before, and I've always wanted to do it. So I want to create like a tooltip that on hover lets you know that if you click on this box, you'll actually copy the code. And that might be too much, but I think it'll be fun for us to mess with. So let's think about this. We have code. Let's also let's get the pre. So let's do const pre is document get element by ID pre. Okay, now for pre, what I want to do is hover like mouse move, mouse over. I guess mouse over is the one that we want, right? Let me see what this looks like. If I print out these things, cannot read properties of null. Did it not like this one? Do I not? Maybe I don't even have an ID on this. Yeah, I don't have an ID. Oh. Let's do that. Okay. Oh, SL Budia has subscribed. Hey, thank you so much, man. I don't know why the chat box is not. Oh, there it is. The alert box showed up. I think I had it underneath something else. Yeah, I had it underneath the screen capture, so you weren't even able to see it there. That's unfortunate, but I appreciate it. Yeah, SL Budia, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. Okay, so check this out. When I mouse over, I'm getting like a lot of information, right? But is this only doing... I feel like this isn't doing as much. Oh. I want all of them. Let me see. Let me see. I want to actually get all the different events, not just like the on mouse over, right? Let's see what we can do. Give me 1 second. I have to attend to this real quick. Okay, so, right, because I don't want just on mouse over. Can we just do like index.js, mouse over? What are the other ones that we have here? So mouse down, mouse enter, mouse leave. Oh, mouse move? That sounds promising. Okay, yeah, that's what I want. Now it's a lot of events, right? Maybe we don't even need, maybe mouse over is the only one that we need. But I think for now, yeah, we'll leave it like this and we'll see how it looks. So what do I want to do? This is going to be very cool. I want to essentially draw a square depending on my current coordinates. Can I even do that? Now this is page X relative to the entire page. And can I draw something relative to my current mouse position? I should be able to. Now how do we, oh, I guess we can just give it, okay. I'm gonna try something here. I'm gonna create sort of like this other div that's just gonna sit, sort of just gonna be like hidden out here. So let's create div. Let's come down here to div. Let's create another div out here, and I'm gonna give it a class of tooltip, and I'll just say click to copy the code. But what I want to do for this is in tooltip. So I'll say tooltip. I wanted to set the display to none. I'll set the height to be something like, I don't know, 50 pixels and the width to 100 pixels. I'll give it some padding. Okay, and then let's give it like a background color of black. Let's give the text a color of white. And yeah, let's see what this does for us. Okay, so now we have our tooltip, and I have this thing to display none. Let's see. Also, I want to say position absolute. And then maybe what we can do is, what if I set top to 0, and I'll say left to 0. Now I wonder if inside of my JavaScript now, so here let's say const tooltip is document get element by ID tooltip. Let me give this an ID of tooltip. Okay. So inside of here, let's think about this. Maybe on mouse move, what I should do is I should toggle this to set the display to block. Right? So let's say, and wait, let me come back here. Do I still have my logs? Because I want to get some of these coordinates. Okay. So here, what if I did tooltip dot style dot, oh, what happened here? Why doesn't it like, oh, wait a second, this shouldn't be like this. Okay, let's get the event. Tooltip dot style dot display. Let's set this equal to block. Okay, and this should actually be on mouse enter, but I guess we can handle that in a second. So if I just do that, what if I were to say tooltip dot style dot left? This gives me what? Client X and client Y. Screen X and screen Y. This should give me, because it does it from the top, right? So screen Y from the top. So top should be equal, right? Top should be equal to event dot what? Screen Y. And then tooltip dot style dot left should be equal to event dot screen X. I think we were okay. Well, we got the black part to show up, but the position is what I want. Oh, you know what? I shouldn't set it to be. Oh, wait a second. This probably needs to be a pixel value. If it's anything like the other stuff that we've done. Okay, I don't see anything anymore, but it's somewhere. It's over there. Okay, and it is moving. I mean, hey, that's something. I've never done that before, so that's pretty neat. I'm very happy with that. Let's keep messing with this and see. I guess the coordinates are not right. So let's console.log the event. We need to get the coordinates to be right. Okay, so maybe it needs to be, because the top is going to be from the top of the screen. Maybe instead of absolute, it should be, maybe this should be fixed. Okay, nope. So it's something wrong. Let's see. We have movement at offset X, offset Y, page X and page Y. It should be like down here should be a large value like screen Y and screen X for top. So from the left, screen X, if I do something like that, you know what I should do? I should do console.log event screen X event.screen Y. I'm getting way too much information here. Yeah, like this. Yeah, you see, like right now the screen, I want to get, it should be relative to like something over there. It might be page. You know what? It's probably page X. I think, well, let's make both of them. Let's do this page Y and page X. Oh, it sort of works. It's a little bit weird, but it works, kind of. Oh, it's not letting me, like, I can't actually, oh, interesting. It doesn't like that I go over this. What if I gave no pointer events? What if I gave no pointer events to that? Like, will that work? Oh, that works. Okay, so I think what happened was, like, if I'm doing this, now I'm on top of this box, but this box is now emitting its own events, right? Because it's events coming from the pointer. I believe that's how that piece works. Let's see. MDN pointer events. So pointer events are DOM events that are fired for a pointing device. So I don't want any events to be fired when I'm on top of this pointer. So I should set pointer events equal to none. That way there are no pointer events. And let me also set the cursor. Let me set the cursor on both pre. Let's do cursor pointer. And then also cursor pointer. That is neat. That is so cool. I've never done this before. So that's so fun. That's so fun. Now the only thing is our borders are not changing. And look at this crazy movement that we get here. Well, let's figure out how to do that in a second. We'll take care of that. Maybe we're having too much fun with this other stuff, right? So I want to add a couple different ones though. I want to do like a pre.add event listener on mouse enter. I should set this to be a block. I don't need to get my event here, so I'll just do this. Mouse enter, mouse move, and we should also have mouse leave. On mouse leave, we can set the display to be none. So I only want it to show up. Yeah, I only want it to show up when it's inside of there. So that's pretty neat. Now we get like all this other stuff happening here. So I like that a lot. Okay, so we got that. We have our different tool tips. Now let's actually do, you know, what happens when I click on this, right? Pre.add event listener dot click. Let me remind myself of how to copy. I think we can use the navigator for this. Navigator copy. I'm sorry for this like Edge news stuff that I get here. I know it's not very like nice, but let me see. Clipboard, read text, clipboard read, clipboard write. how to copy clipboard in JavaScript with the clipboard API. Let's see, copy text function, copy to clipboard. Content.value, navigator.clipboard. Okay, so what is it that I want? Anytime I click on this, right, I should now just be able to do navigator.clipboard.write text. In copy text, we can just get code.text content. I mean, I think that should be enough. Let's try it out. If I come over here, if I click on this, okay, look at that. We actually get the CSS, but we got it from main. We got it from, yeah, why did we get it from main actually? Oh, I know why. This is where it becomes different, right? The box CSS rule is probably no longer CSS rules 2. So we should make that piece dynamic. CSS rules. Yeah, now it's 3. So a CSS rule list. Can I? Okay, we're gonna do something here. We're gonna do something. Box CSS rule. This is what we need to do. I need to find it. What I need to do is I need to now, instead of setting it to 2, I should always be a little more dynamic and find it. When I mean find it, I mean I want to find the CSS rule that has a, let's see, a selector text of dot box. So this is how we're going to do this. We're going to say CSS rules array equals, I think, can we do array dot from? Okay, so why am I creating an array? If we look at CSS rules right here, this CSS rules list doesn't have any way for us to like iterate over it. I mean, it might have a way for us to iterate over it, but it has no like map method or find method, so we can make an array from it to be able to do that. And now we have our CSS rules array. What we want to now do is our box CSS rule should be CSS rules array find the CSS rule, where the CSS rule selector text is equal to dot box. So let's see if this works. Box CSS rule. Okay, it's undefined. That's fine. So maybe we can actually do this. Let me see. CSS rules, style sheet. I think I need to do CSS rules here. I don't need to actually get the second one there. Let's refresh here again. That looked better. So box CSS rule, check that out. See, now the box CSS rule is being found dynamically, so we can continually modify our index CSS file, and we don't even need to worry about the positioning of any of these, because now we're always going to find the one that has box. Let me just double check something real quick. How is the stream going for you guys? Because I see that, I know that like I just recently changed settings, so I'm sorry if the, oh man, I'm looking at the quality right now and it's really not that great. I really hope the quality is not too bad for people that are watching the stream. Hopefully it gets better once YouTube has processed it, but I know that's not generally the case. Okay, sweet. So we have all that. Let's go back here and look at this. Now we should, okay, so we can change that. We now have the ability to copy our code. So like I clicked on this, code was copied. If I go to like my console, we can see that now we get the right code. So that's pretty neat. Let's see, what is it now that, oh, we don't even need that comment anymore, right? We don't need this piece anymore here. Okay, so what else can we do now? Is that it? They also wanted for us to do what? User can copy the resulting CSS to the clipboard. We have that. User can change all 8 possible values of border radius. So what are the 8 possible values? 8 values? Am I like forgetting something here? When you use 8 values, 4 different values. Okay. 8 values separated by slash. So when you compare border radius 48M to border radius, the results are quite different. Fancy border radius. I guess this is pretty much what we're doing. Oh, this sets all 8 values. But what are the 8 values? You know what we can do? This is funny because this is actually essentially what we're doing. If I go here, border radius, border, okay. So is this what it wants me to do? 70, 30, 70, 30. Should we do? Yeah, we probably should do. Can someone watching comment on the quality of the stream? I realized that I recently made some changes to the stream, so I think right now it's only doing 720p. So hopefully it's not too bad, but I'd really love to know how like people are watching it, because I'm gonna need to like make sure that my output for the next stream I do is set to HD. Okay, this is gonna be a little tricky, and I'm wondering if it's even all 8 possible values of the border radius in order to create a complex shape. How would we do that? I'm guessing they mean these. But like what? Okay, 70, 30. Border top left, border top right. MDN border radius. Does it even... Do they show it like that? Border radius. Border radius. First radius values, top left. Quality is good enough. Okay, nice. Like it's good enough that you're at least able to like, you can read it and understand it. Because I think on my end, maybe it looks worse through like the YouTube analytics screen, but. So first radius values, top left, top right and bottom left. Okay. Oh, first radius values slash top left, or I don't really know how to read that piece. Length, border top left radius, percentages, 2 absolute lengths or percentages, 2 absolute lengths or percentages. So we can assign 2 values to each one. Is that like what they're saying? So does it want us to do like border radius first and border radius second? Like if I went back to like this right here, if I change this, like this is border bottom left radius, can we do something like 4M 3M? Is that actually okay? So it looks like each one is taking a different value. So I think what we can do, yeah, this will be very fun. So probably for each one of these, we can have top left. Yeah, it's gonna get a little trickier now to manage all the data, but we definitely can do it, and we'll keep it to pixel values to have it the same. So maybe we can do top left first, and you know what would also be nice if I gave the option of having, if I gave the user the option of having simple or all. Right? Because that's also gonna change this. So let's see. I guess we can come to that piece later, but what I'll do for now is I'll say top left, and then maybe here we can do top left. So here we'll do second, and I'll show you all why I'm doing it like this. So that's top right. We'll come over here. We'll set top right, second, bottom right. We'll do another one here. Bottom right, second, and then we'll do a bottom left second. So if we go back to our screen, now we have all these different values. So right now everything is the same. So we need to be able to identify each one of those. So let's see. How should we approach this? If I have border bottom left radius of like 4m and this being 0. Okay, so that actually changes things. So I can't just have it revert back to 0 because I would need, yeah, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be tricky, but it's gonna be good. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it, guys. Okay, so couple things that we need to handle, right? I'm gonna create sort of like a directions over here, things to do. So first, listen to second events. If user toggles checkbox to show granular controls, clear existing values. Thinking about doing something like that. Okay. And then maybe this is like okay for now, but I need to know at any time any of these events that I get, like if they're of second type. So let's do this. Let's see, we have data border, top right. We have top right, maybe data border. I might just want this to say data second. Maybe, yeah, I'll say data second. I'm just gonna leave it like this because that'll just make it that it's truthy. I'm gonna sit this under here, top right. Oh wait, we have top left second, data second, top right second, we have data second, bottom right second, we have data second, bottom left second, we have data second. Now inside of here, what does they want to do? Now what I need to do something different if it's second. So if, let's see, if second in data set, because it's data set dot border, and that's because it's, right, isn't that, I called it data border. Okay, so I want to do something if it's a second rule, else we can just do the same thing that we did before, which is this piece right here, right? Let's leave it like this for now. Let's run this and see, like, top left. Oh, we're getting some errors here. Data set is not defined. Let's see what happened. Oh, I know why. I need border radius input dot data set. Okay. So top left should still modify. These should not do anything, right? Because now we're specifically going to do something different with these second values. So if we get second, we still have this direction, right? But you know what we could do? We should actually always do this one. We're always going to set at least one of them. Only if we have second are we going to add a new one. So let's see, we have border radius input, we have border radius direction, okay, and we have border radius value. But now we're going to get some different things. We have a direction. The direction is going to be the same for both, so this will always be fine. Now the value, I think what we can do now, if second, I can still just take whatever value we have set, but I also, well, I don't want to mess with the first one though. So maybe, yeah, no, we don't always want to set this. So I think, yeah, I think we should go back to where we were before in here. And also, what happens if I set second before, if I set the second one before I have any on the right? Let me think about this because I really want to make this. Let's see. I'm going to assume here that I always have a rule that is spaced, right? 5px, 5px. So imagine I have a string of 5 pixels, 5 pixels. If I split this by space, right, I'm going to get both of them. If I only have one and I split it by space, oh, that didn't work out how I wanted it to. Okay, so I need, if it's second, okay. border radius input dot value. I need to get the current style. That's what we need to get. Maybe now that's where that get computed. Yeah, I think that's where it can work now. So let's say const computed box style equals get computed style of box. Okay. I want to print out console.log. Let's do box of border radius direction. So it's currently giving me undefined. Let's figure out why that is. And I'll show you all why I'm doing this, right? So box, okay, border radius direction, border top left radius. Is it actually, oh, I think I need style. Oh no, wait, I'm actually not even getting the right thing. I should be using box computed style. Instead of here, that's what I want to print out, right? Let's go to our console. Okay, that's fine. So I only have one thing set right now, right? So I think what I can do is, let's go through this. If I get the computed style, if I only have a single thing, like if I set second first, and this is currently empty, I guess that's fine. If it's second, do I always just take, yeah, we need to account for like multiple cases here. There can be a case where we either have an empty string, we have a single value set, or we already have two of them. So if it's first, if I set one of the first ones and it's empty, that's fine. And also, if it's first, I should only be modifying the string at that exact location. Box computed style, border radius direction is border radius value px. Or can I actually just, I wonder if there's like an easier way that I can do this to just make it so, let's see, const current CSS. Let's say const current border radius value. Even though that's what we have here though, border radius value. Oh, but that's going to be the input. I want the current border radius value is going to equal box computed style. Can we do a split here? Okay, let's get the split from here. And now let's console.log this current border radius value. Okay, that's okay. Now we're only setting first. If I get second and it's an empty string, do I want to do anything? Maybe we shouldn't even do anything. How about that? We could actually just do that, right? Like if second, let's go through the multiple cases here. If current border radius value, which is now going to be equal to an array dot length is equal to 0. Well, I guess instead of doing something in that case, let's actually go for the other cases, right? Like if it's currently equal to 1, then we'll just push a new value to this. Yeah, so if it's equal to 1, we'll do something. Else if current border radius value dot length equals 2, then we can do something else. Current border radius value, okay. So let's do this. Let's come over here. Let's now console that out. If it's 1, then what I should do is to this we should push the new value, right? We should push the new value, which will be border radius value. And I should push it directly like this. Else, we should just make it so that the new one, so the thing that is at index 1 is equal to that. So let me see how this looks. So I have second. Okay, so now we're getting this. That's cool. We have first. I'm not logging that first one, which I do want to log. Which that's gonna be a whole other thing, right? So if second, we have this. I don't want to print this anymore. Now we have border radius direction is border radius value pixel. Or I guess what we can do down here is we'll say border radius, okay, in this direction now equals, let's see, could we just say current dot join with the space, right? Because we want to join that array and leave a space in the middle. So I mean, it is sort of working if we look at that, right? Let's see, console.log. I just want to log the actual style now. Let's see what we get here. Okay, that's cool. So now we're getting this right here, which is sort of all right. I just want to show you guys how I did that piece. I just logged that out. So what do we have now? Code text content is that. Box style of border radius direction, current border values dot join. Okay. Now if it's 1, if current border value length, and I guess in this first one, what we can do sort of something similar here, but this one we only need to be worried about if it's the first time we're setting it, it's either going to be 0. Once we set it, if I move it again, it'll just be 1, right? So I can change this to 0. Let's see how this looks, and then we'll do the same thing down here, which I'm seeing now that I can probably remove all that. And I actually want to come back here and I want to console.log this. Refresh here. So 237, so that still just changes the 1. And then as soon as I go to 2, now we get 2. Okay. Oh, but now this is no longer working. Okay, that's fine. Let's figure out why that's the case. So I set the first one. Oh, but then if we have 2, we still need to set, because I can go back to just doing, yeah, a lot of different cases here, right? If it's 0, else if it's 2, we just modify the first one. I'm not a fan of this. Hopefully we can refactor this at the end. But it looks like that works. Well, no, it doesn't, not yet. Border bottom left, border bottom second, that's still doing the top there. So what's happening there? Current box computed border radius direction in data set. Oh, you know what I probably did? I think I know what I did here. So border top left radius, border top left radius, border top right. Yeah, there you go. So this data border should be the same for all these. Border bottom left, border bottom left. Okay. So with these changes, we should always be able to just modify this, right? We should be able to like toggle all these and create a circle. And then I guess modifying these won't really have a change unless we, oh, okay, so looks like we're getting an issue there. Let's see, it works for the right one, so it might be something else that let me make sure all these are good. So top left, border top left radius, ID top left. This also has an ID of top left, so that already seems kind of weird. Why did we give this an ID of top left? Do I even need that ID of top left? Oh, because we're doing this for, yeah. Top left, this should be for top left second. Top right. See, and look at this. This is, okay, so top left. Let's go through these one by one. So control label for top left, border top left radius. Edit top left. Okay, so this one's fine. We can close out this one. Top left second, top left second, top left second. I think that one's good. Now we should get to top right. So top right, everything looks good there. This should be top right second. Border top right radius. Now bottom right, okay. This should be border or bottom right second. Bottom left, that's okay. And now this should be bottom left. Oh, whoa, what happened here? Okay. Bottom left second. Okay, I'm not sure that's gonna necessarily fix anything, but let's see. Okay, there you go. Yeah, it did fix something, so that's cool. I think it was probably just getting weird with all the different values. Okay, so we've done a lot, right? I mean, it looks like now we're able to modify all these different values, and from what I can see down here, we actually have it like it showed us on MDN, which is pretty neat. Couple of quality of life changes we need though, right? So this whole thing right here is becoming crazy. I'm not in love with it. So is there a better way for us to do this? It looks like I probably have, there's certainly some duplication. Like what I see is this, we can remove this to be outside since that's always going to happen for both now. So we can remove this and we can remove this. Current border radius value. So we'll split it. We'll enter in our values. Okay. Border radius. I think border radius value, it'd be nicer if this was, let's see. Yeah, this should be border radius input value. And then we should change it here. I think that would just make it a little bit easier to read. And then instead of current border radius value, this should just be border radius value. It doesn't need to have the word current in front of it. I think that actually just makes it a little bit harder to read. All right, let's make sure that still works. Oh, okay, current border radius value is not defined. Oh, there was just one that I missed over there. Okay, it looks like we're stable to change all that, so that's cool. Okay. Oh, wait a second. This is modifying the same one. Perhaps. We'll get to that in a second. Okay, so let's see. For either one of these, right? Let's again think about the different scenarios that we have. We'll have an empty string. We'll have one that's a single value, and we'll have another one that's two different values. So as soon as I set, like, let's say I set second the first time, right? If I have, like, I don't want to do anything with second unless I either have something of length 1. Like if I already have one set, which presumably came from the left, or not the left, but the first one, then I'll just go ahead and push that value. So that'll give me the 2. And then the second time I come around, I'll just go ahead and modify the thing that's already at 2. And that's if border radius value.length is equal to 1. Now if I do first, like the first time I do first, it'll have a length of 0. So I should push something to border radius value. And then if I have 1, I should modify the 1 at 1. Right? Okay. And if I have 2, then this should still be 0 though, right? Whether it's 1 or 2, this should always be 0. So I guess as long as it's, yeah, if border radius is length else here, I think we can say if border radius of length is less than or equal to 2, then probably this should always be 2. Or rather, this should always be 0. I need to push it at least once. Like, if it's empty, we push it. And you know what we can do? We don't even need this else if. I think we can just remove this. If it's empty, we'll push it. And then we can just modify the value. Or do we even need to push? Maybe we can just push an empty string. I'll just push an empty string here. And let's do this. Let's put this all on the same line, right? So it's empty. We push an empty string, and then from then on out, we're always going to have at least one thing, and the left will always be at position 0. So I think that's a better way of doing that. In this second one, if I get to the second, if border radius is 0, then I guess we can push 1, but that still won't solve. Yeah, so I still need to here check specifically. So if border radius.length is equal to 1, maybe here I do something similar, where now I say just go ahead and push it, push an empty string, and then we can do the same thing here. Will this work? Well, I mean, there's only one way to find out, right? We're just going to mess with it. So always we should be able to do our circles. That's fine. Now in here, okay. Yeah, that is looking better. Bottom left. So this bottom left should only be doing that first one. So I see, if you look down here, you'll see that like that left value at the end is being modified in 2 places. We should only see that first one. So let's see, I modified the first one. There is no second, but it's not 0, so I just modify 0. And then I join it. How will that look? Because yeah, I would not expect to see this one does it right. This one does it right. Top right does it right. Top left does it right. Okay, so let's look at all my firsts. First should only do that. That should only do that. That should only do that. Okay, so the first ones all work. Second one works. This one works. Bottom right second works. Okay, that was weird. You can actually see the values changing down here. Like if I do top right, it should be the left one. Top left, only the first one on the second. Okay. So I mean, based on what I'm seeing, this is actually fine. And I didn't change anything, but that looks better. Very, very neat. That's very neat. I mean, we have gone through so much in this live stream. I mean, I myself have learned a ton, which is crazy. But at least, yeah, we were definitely able to make this a little bit nicer. I think, like, is there even more stuff that we can do? Border radius.length 1. Okay, do we care if it's second or not? Yeah, no, we should, right? Because then we need to know if it's only that first one. And then we just join these values and we create them. Okay, code.text content, that's very cool. Now what we should do is I would like to give the ability to show granular controls. And what I mean by that is inside of my controls, I think I want something like checkbox. And let's do label for checkbox. We'll give this an ID of checkbox. We'll stick the input inside this label right here. And I'll say show fine, show gran, or how about show more controls? Okay, cool. So by now what I want to do is like anything that has, let's say we have control label, what we should do here is say like second. First second, top right second, we'll give this label a second class. We'll give this label a second class, and we'll give this label a second class. And then inside of our CSS, now we can say control label dot second display is none. And I just realized, am I not using control label anywhere else? I don't think I am. So let me expand all these, because can we get rid of that class altogether? Control label, top left. The best code is no code, right? Yeah, I'm not sure we're using that class anywhere, so I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get rid of all that. So top left, we don't need control label here. We don't need this class at all. We don't need control label here. We don't need this class. We don't need control label here. Don't need this class. And we don't need control label here. Okay, let's see how this is looking. Okay, now in CSS, we can just say second instead of control label. Let's just say second. Okay, now what we can do is inside of, let's get an ID for that checkbox. Let's see, input type ID checkbox. So let's say inside of here, let's do const checkbox equals document dot get element by ID checkbox. And now where our event listeners are, we can say, let's do checkbox dot, let's say add, or no, yeah, add event listener. Is it click or does it have to be maybe change? Yeah, it might be this one. What I would like to do is we can just say, oh, you know what? I need to actually get this rule here. So maybe we should say CSS rules array, box CSS rule. Let's also say second CSS rule. We'll do the same thing here, and we'll look for the thing that has second. And in here, I can say second dot style dot display. It'd be nice if we can toggle it. Yeah, I guess what we should do is this, like we can say if CSS because it'd be nice to maybe just like remove the style. What would be an easier way to do that? I guess this is fine. We can say if second CSS rule dot style dot display is equal to none, right? Else we can just essentially copy this. If it's equal to none, we'll set it equal to block. Else we'll set it equal to none. That should be enough. Oh, cannot read properties of undefined reading split. Checkbox, add event listener, change. Oh, you see, okay, check this out. This is sort of what I was talking about earlier. Right now, I have a single event listener on controls, and now my checkbox is firing an event that because controls is listening to events, it's going to also do something on input. So we need to make sure in here that the event target, we need to do something like, we need to narrow this, right? Like if event.target.tag name or tag is equal to, I only want this to be on inputs. And actually that's not even going to take care of that, right? Because these are also inputs. So let's do this. Let's go here and say console.log event. Let's see what we get here. What I would like to do is console.target ID. We should get the ID. I think that's nice. So let's do if event.target.id is equal to checkbox. Then we'll go ahead and do this stuff in here. All right, so let's open this up again. Cannot read properties of undefined reading split. Okay. So I'm curious why. It looks like this is happening even when I click. Okay. Let's think about this. You know what we can also do? We can do stop immediate propagation, or stop immediate propagation versus represents other listeners of the same event from being called. Let's see if either one of these works. Maybe instead of this, we can say, let's remove this if check. And let's say event.stop immediate propagation. Let's come back. Still the same thing. I see that I'm still getting the same thing up here. Okay. And what's the other one? Just stop propagation. Prevents further propagation of the current event in the capturing and bubbling phases. It does not, however, prevent any default behaviors from occurring. Clicks on links are still processed. If you want to stop those behaviors, see prevent default. I guess there's like different things that we can do. Like if I do stop propagation, will that one work? Still not. How about prevent default? Prevent default seems a little bit weird here, but I guess. Okay, so that's also not working. So let's see. I wonder what we can get from that one. Like if we have event listener for checkbox input, what's like the change event? A single checkbox. Use the change event. Okay. If target.checked. Let's see. Prevents other event listeners from checkbox. So as explained in documentation, this far is a Boolean dictating if the event should be passed to the current event handler before passing to the next element's event handler. Event, first event. Can we use capture order in which the event is propagated down? Can we actually set the bubbling? Oh, okay. This is going to be cool. So MDN add event listener. I know this takes a second one here. Syntax is type listener and options. Capture a Boolean value indicating that events of this type will be dispatched to the registered listener before being dispatched to any event beneath it. A Boolean value indicating whether events of this type will be dispatched to the registered listener. But I don't want it to go beneath. I don't want it to bubble. But I guess it also says, I saw, what did that other thing say? It says combination of capture true and stop propagation. Can we actually do that? Like if we do capture true, okay, and here stop propagation, is that going to do what we want? No, it still happens. That's a little bit unfortunate because I would definitely like for it to still remain in here. I mean, what we could do is, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't check to see. I think let's do this instead. So we'll remove all this. Inside of here, if event.target.id is equal to checkbox, here we can just return. So this should work. Maybe it's not my favorite way of doing it, but see now, we're still getting issues here. Whoa, failed to load. Oh, okay. So what's happening here? Sources, index.js, on change. Second CSS style rule, second display none. Style is none equals block. Oh, I set this equal, I used the equality operator here instead. This should just be equals. See if this works now. Yay. Okay, nice. Now we have the granular controls and we should still be able to change these like we were before. Now, it would be nice, let's see. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, we have officially completed. We've completed the project. I think we did everything, right? If we go back to the README here, user can change all 8, yeah, to create a complex shape. We did that. Okay, awesome. So this has been a long stream, an almost 2-hour stream of us completing this project here, which I'm very happy about. I feel like we all learned a lot of new things. There's a lot of things that I did that I haven't done before. You know, like I liked that we got to use, you know, like get computed style. I thought that was very cool. We got to look at why using something like array.from when, you know, getting CSS rules might be helpful. We saw that CSS rules doesn't have a way for us to iterate or use things like find. We also saw why we might need to do that, because as we were building our CSS sheet, we saw that box was not always going to be in the same position. So now we're doing this dynamically where we can always find the name of the rule here. We added the ability to add more granular controls. We're taking care of all the multiple controls in here. And then we have event listeners for our little tooltip that we came up with to let users know that they can copy the text down here. Click to copy the code. So that's pretty neat. So with that being said, I'm very happy with the progress we made today. If you enjoyed this, please let me know. I totally had a lot of fun doing it. I'm going to go ahead and upload this all to my GitHub repo, so no need to worry if you didn't get a chance to look at the code. Again, I'm sorry for like all this Microsoft Edge stuff that I'm getting here, but let's go to my repos here. So I'll be updating this one here called with vanilla. So inside of with vanilla, you know, we'll be putting everything in there. You can feel free to look at the code. You know, you can make suggestions, open up PRs if you find issues or something's not working right. Let me know. I'm very open to starting like a very collaborative session with all the contributors or anyone that just wants to help and hopefully learn a little bit. So with that being said, thank you all so much for checking in. It was nice to see some familiar faces around here. Thank you all so much for the support. I'm looking forward for us to, you know, continue on our journey here. And I don't have a schedule per se of when I'll be doing these front-end projects. I normally just do them whenever I feel like it, to be honest. The leak code ones, however, if you are looking for my leak code channel, you know, I still have leak code over here. So what we'll do here is like I still have my leak code scheduled for today at 5 p.m. So if you want to come and watch my leak code stream, definitely feel free to do that. Very happy to have you all there. I'm expanding the channel. I'm trying new things out. I'm seeing what works, what doesn't work. So let's just go and have a great time. And yeah, hope to see a lot of all you there. I'm going to end off with some music here just to give you guys a good send off. But until next time, you guys have a great rest of your Friday. Happy coding, and I'll see you all next time.